The story of European democracy is one of building new institutions to advance European values. But this is only half the picture. It is also a story of nation-states building relationships with each other. In this episode, you will dive into the Polish-German friendship, or, as some will say, troubled Polish-German relationship. 5 protagonists of this neighborhood saga share their assessment regarding government cooperation, both on the national and regional level, citizen life across borders, security policy, and the mission of civil society. You're about to hear a dispute on the shape of Polish democracy between Jan-Philipp Albrecht and Paul Ziemiak. The former was a Green politician and is now co-president of the Heinrich-Böll-Stiftung. The latter serves as the chairman of the German-Polish Parliamentary Group. You will hear from Secretary of State for European Affairs in Brandenburg, Jobst-Hinrich Ubbelohde, on why the border regions cooperate well, despite the conflicts at the national level. You will learn how the sentiment among everyday Poles and Germans has shifted dramatically, thanks to Professor Krzysztof Wojciechowski, founder and director of the Collegium Polonicum. Finally, Karolina Dreszer-Smalec, president of the National Federation of Polish NGOs, reveals what she regards as the historic turning point in the relationship between these two Central European states. And if you keep listening until the end, you will find out how an old technology might breathe new life into this friendship. This podcast series, Europa im Dialog, is brought to you by the non-partisan NGO Europa-Union Deutschland. We start with Jan-Philipp Albrecht. The Green dives headfirst into the discord among the national governments.
The question is how to strengthen the relationship between Poles and Germans, but also, as you said, between NGOs on both sides or other civil society actors in times of a government which obviously is trying to, in Poland, which is obviously trying to build an image of Germany and the European Union as being like the enemy of the Polish people. And that is a complicated task, because what we can't afford, again, is what we missed during the government time of Donald Tusk, that we really have an engagement of the German society and also politics into Polish society and Polish debates. We can't really afford to repeat that mistake. But on the other side, we don't have a real partner to deal with on the side of the Polish government, and we also don't want to give them a platform in their election campaign, which is obviously not a very democratic and a very serious one, trying to attack Donald Tusk again and on other opposition parties in a way which is not very, very open. That leads me to the point that we need to have engagement from Germany, from civil society actors, from political actors and NGOs and media activists and media and journalists also in Poland to build awareness of the positions of opposition parties, of NGOs, but also of the needs of Polish society and Poland in the current situation, which of course is very visible now with the Russian war in Europe, and which acknowledges the very important role of Poland in the European Union and the needs of Central and Eastern Europe in the European Union. In the long term, I think it is needed that Germany did what it missed in the last years to show leadership for also Polish and Central European interests in the European Union, and that needs to be done, but it can't be done in partnership with this government, which also follows the autocratic handbook in a very severe manner, and we need to be really aware about that.
Let's move to the regional level, to Brandenburg, and I would like to ask Mr. Secretary of State, how do you see the German-Polish relations, especially on the border?
Yes, we are surely acting in the shadow of the national level. The question, what is the current state of German-Polish relations? Yes, it depends on the point of view. all in all, looking from our regional perspective, it is good or very good. We have close contacts with our partner regions. Brandenburg's government adopted the Brandenburg-Polish Neighbourliness Strategy in 2021 to fulfill its constitutional goals and to give additional impetus to the development of the Polish-German partnership. Brandenburg deals every day with questions of cross-border and interregional cooperation. Yes, let me sketch out the framework conditions proving that Brandenburg borders with 250 kilometers to Poland, the biggest central European country. Brandenburg has committed itself in its constitution to close relations, especially with its neighbor Poland, with our neighbor Wojciechowski. Poland is Brandenburg's most important foreign trade partner since 2017. And what is very important, we have a close exchange from face to face. About 30,000 people with a Polish passport are living in Brandenburg. Every day, around 14,000 people commute from Poland to work in Brandenburg. And Brandenburg has an active role in different cooperation formats, not only in the German-Polish Governmental Commission for Regional and Cross-Border Cooperation, but also in German-Polish Environment Council or in the German-Polish Science Foundation. I think the most important and pregnant for our relationship is the Interreg program, the exchange program at the border. It's crucial for our relationship to our neighbors, regional neighbors. So all in all, we have a good current state on a regional level, but in the shadow of the national politics.
Thank you very much for this regional view, and let's move to the old wise man of the German-Polish relations. Panie Profesorze, what's about your view after 30 years on the German-Polish cooperation and your activities on the German-Polish border in Słubice and Frankfurt-Oder?
Do you mean by saying the old man?
Old wise man, panie profesorze.
Okay, so let's make a remark, considering that what Karolina Dreszer-Smalec told, this level of acceptance, about 70%. I remember one of the first surveys at the border, 1991, by Professor Lesicki. The question asked on both sides of the border, would you accept a married member of a family from the other nation? Guess how many Poles said yes, 3.5%. How many Germans? 3.7%. It means there was not at all, except even marriages, despite other social rules, chief or neighbor or something like neighbor 7%, something like this. And then the peak was at about 70-80% in the beginning of the second decade of the 21st century, then a little way down after, 2015, but now it's once more going up. The conclusion, we have to make a clear difference between these basic social relations we mentioned already and this sphere, I call it conjunctural sphere, political sphere, or something like this. Of course, in long terms, these basic relations can be in equilibrium or can even win the negatives against negative tendencies in this upper sphere. Although on the other side, this pyramid structure of the human society can cause that the actors above us can damage or disturb relations in this basic sphere. So I am moderate optimist, and I hope very much that this very, very, let's say, fruitful and with many aspects, very large relations at the base, social, economic, cultural, and so on, will provide us a good neighborhood and a stable future.
Let's move to Paul Ziemiak, a member of the Bundestag and experienced guy in the German-Polish relation. Please, your point of view.
To speak and answer questions after a professor did it already, it's like to pray after the Pope. So not easy. Absolutely correct what you said, and I absolutely agree. I think it's the relations are very complicated on the political level, but they are very good on a civil society level. That I have to say. I know how Polish citizens saw German citizens, and on the other way. I was born in 1985 and came to Germany 3 years later. So in 1988. So the development is really, really, really good for the civil society, I would say. There are a lot of friendships between German and Polish, especially on the family level. So see all the families, so millions nowadays in Germany who have Polish roots, like my family. My wife is German, and our children have both identities, German and Polish identities. And we see now close to Brandenburg, the relations are good. There is a strong neighborhood close to the border, and I visit these communities. This is very good. On the political level, it's very complicated, but it's not black or white. I would not say that there is an autocratic regime in Warsaw. Absolutely not. The elections are free. The votes are equal. That's not the point. But some political decisions are, from our point of view, not in the frame of the EU law. That's our point of view. So we have to speak about. So there are points we don't agree with the Polish government. But on the other hand, not everything what the Polish government is asking us for is wrong. For example, insecurity issues. The security interests of the current government in Warsaw are absolutely right. I agree, and I support all this when it's come to protect the EU and NATO borders, especially during this times the aggressive war of Russia to Ukraine. And on the other hand, when we're talking, for example, like about projects like the monument for Polish victims of the National Socialists and the World War II, this is absolutely right, and we support it, and we are fighting for it in Berlin, that we will build very soon this monument. So on the political level, complicated. There are a lot of colors and not only black and white.
Let's continue in this direction. Security policy. After the accident at the Ukrainian-Polish border a few days ago, the German government offered to Poland to send the Patriot system to secure the eastern border of NATO. If I define the current discussion in Poland about it, the Polish government is not interested in German support and asks the German government to send the Patriot system to Ukraine. What can we do in such a situation? Maybe in the different order, and let's start with Paul Ziemiak.
There are technical reasons why Poland is acting like this, and we accept this. But when we're talking about, for example, delivering weapons to Ukraine, when it's about delivering tanks to Poland, after Poland sent it to Ukraine, we have just to deliver. That's what the Chancellor said. They were not talking about numbers. That's a problem. I think the German government didn't expect that Poland will deliver so fast to 250 tanks to Ukraine. And so now we have a problem to deliver, like we say in the Ringtausch, deliver our staff to Poland. I would say it's a question of communication. I saw our foreign minister, Annalena Baerbock, during her visit to Warsaw. It was a very clear and even as an opposition guy, I have to say that a very, very clear statement from Annalena Baerbock. But I don't see this clear statements from our Chancellor, unfortunately, and from our Minister of Defense. That's a problem. Or think about to send our soldiers to Lithuania. The Chancellor was there during his visit, and he said there will be a German brigade to Lithuania. And until now, there is no action. There is no clear position of the German government how and when we will send the brigade.
Maybe a question to Professor Wojciechowski. How do you see this challenge regarding Patriots?
In my opinion, this question of patriots is a very clear example of that what we deal with. It's not a, let's say, substantial policy game between Germany and Poland, and also in nowadays Europe, but this is a game of collective self-esteem. Who is the better one? Who has got the, let's say, monopoly of interpretation in the society? Who, as we Poles say, reign the souls of the people? Who is better, who is worse? And of course, in this game, there are some essential rules. When we are confronted with goodness or gratitude or something like this, we suffer certain diminishing of our self-esteem. And to avoid this, we say, no, don't be good to us, be good to somebody else, to show that we are full of dignity, full of self-esteem, and we don't need any help, and so on and so on. And this is the category that should be cleared. The people have to be educated in this point. Don't think that everything is running to economic or political or military conflict. There is a great room of this self-esteem place, and the Germans are masters in an attitude of political humility and diminishing themselves. And this is very, very good attitude, an attitude that allowed us to construct the united Europe, because a great state in the center of Europe with attitudes like British or French, Nationalism, would never allow to unify a continent.
Herr Ubbelohde, I don't think a security question is so important in Brandenburg, but how do you see the question of delivering the Patriot system to Poland? And do you think it's a topic on the German-Polish border?
Let me say it's not the regional competence, but perhaps in view on the conflict, we have good cooperation with our regional partners in Poland in questions of refugees and aid on the regional and communal level. So we cooperate since 1 year very good with our partners. The Patriot system, these questions are not really an issue in our relations to our partners.
Same question to Jan Philipp Albrecht. Is it a topic for the Heinrich-Böll Foundation, security questions in German-Polish relations?
Yeah, it's not only a current topic, it's been a very important issue for the Heinrich-Böll Foundation over decades. That includes, of course, not only the Polish perspective, but also the one of other Central and European states. It is absolutely right that this security question is now from utmost importance when we talk about the Polish-German relations. Also because we see in this year what we have not seen as Germans enough in the years before, the important role of Poland in the security infrastructure of the European Union and also, of course, of NATO. And this is important in regards not only about technical questions and tactical questions, but it is important with regard to viewing the standpoints of the Eastern and Central European states in the Western security alliances. And this hasn't been very visible in the last years. And I think it's mostly on the Germans that we haven't debated enough the important perspective of the Central and Eastern European states with regard to security. And now we have to do that. And the European Union has to build up a European Union security strategy, including these perspectives as a very important fundament. And I'm not sure if we have fully understood this in the Western European states. And it's important to have these debates. That's why we here in the Heinrich-Böll Foundation also do a lot of events on security in Eastern and Central Europe. And that's why we think we have to debate the security questions with representatives of the Central and Eastern European states, and not only in the context of Western European politicians, which has been very dominant throughout the last years. And I think that was a mistake.
Last question to Karolina Dreszer-Smalec. Maybe you can give us a few information about the discussion about this patriot system in the Polish society. Is there a topic, and what are the differences between the view of the ordinary Poles and the government?
Of course, we were surprised by this attitude. And in face of many challenges, we need to be sure that we are able to cooperate as the closest neighbors. Just to mention the thing which all of us, we perfectly know, that the 31 years ago, the Polish-German Treaty of Good Neighborhood and Friendly Cooperation was signed. And it was a turning point in the history of our countries. I hope that the barriers dividing our societies will disappear and we can establish the dialogue in all spheres of public life. And Poland and Germany, countries intertwined by the cruel experiences of war, but also the subsequent hope for peace. And for more than 30 years, we are working hard to build cooperation as neighbors. Last years, as partners in the European Union and allies in NATO. These partnerships are fundamental for what each country is expected to deliver to its citizens. That is freedoms, that is security, economic development. And in the face of many challenges, we cannot afford to argue. We cannot allow anyone to cancel many years of work and effort on both sides. It's our responsibility to future generation. And we as Polish civil society, we perfectly know that to counterfight the difficulties, we need to create the links, the alliances, the common understanding. And what we could observe after the last 30 years, the most important aspect is in shaping the attitude of mutual openness is to replace stereotypical images and cliches with real life experiences. And we believe that this is also the role of the civil society from both sides to build these possibilities, these opportunities to meet the people. As I don't have a time to mention that all of this big program of the exchanges of the young people between Poland and Germany. There's many projects, Polish-German Youth Exchange, or projects which were initiated by schools, teachers, but NGOs, activists, by educators. As we see the situation, this is a big challenge. This is a big role for the civil society from the both sides to be active and to not to allow those who would like to have the argue between the Poland and Germany, to not to allow them to do that, because I will repeat one more time, it's our responsibility to future generation, and we need to counterfight these difficulties. I believe that we will be able to do so.
Let's jump into the final question. How can we strengthen in German-Polish relation in the European Union? What can we do for the future of Europe? And it's a question to you, Paul Ziemiak. What can we do to strengthen German-Polish relations in the European Union?
We need more institution on a political level, like we do it with France, with the Contract of Aachen, to build a regular exchange between politicians from Poland and Germany. We have the parliamentary group, and they are excellent persons, members of this parliamentary group, but this is everything is on really not in an official level. It's an official committee, but we are not discussing about projects in legislation, for example, or projects between both countries. This is necessary. We are looking for a German-Polish exchange between on the governmental level, and we have to rebuild the cooperation between Paris, Berlin, and Warsaw. This is the basement of the European Union.
Weimar Triangle is an important topic, and I think we can expect improvement in German-French relations in January when the ministries go to France to discuss the question, and I hope for the same development in the German-Polish relations. Professor Wojciechowski, the same question to you. What can we do?
The political education needs to be stepped up in both societies. Germans, as a strong, great society, tend a little bit to be arrogant against Poles. It means not to reflect what Poles are thinking and what they are, let's say, feeling in political questions. It's a natural arrogance. Poles have got this arrogance against Belarusians or Lithuanians or Czechs or something like this. But the problem in Poland is that we always associated political education with some kind of indoctrination, and we didn't do it in the last 30 years. And now we pay the bill. Many people don't understand essential democratic values and mechanism of parliamentary democracy, but still there is enough spectrum to organize discussions, to strengthen economic, social relations, civil society, and so on. Something like Infobus, organized by the embassy of Germany in Poland, going through villages, through these milieus that they remain in a bubble, communication bubble, governmental television, local opinion and historical cliches. They can be picked by such a bus, by initiatives, by projects, schools, and so on and so on. So we need some efforts on this basic level of the society. I think the general attitude of Poles towards Europe, acceptance of freedom, of liberty, and of justice will, let's say, give us good background from such initiatives.
Thank you very much. I think political education is not indoctrination, but the idea of the Infobus, maybe for European Union, not only for Germany. It's a good idea. We will pick it up. And the same question to Herr Ubbelohde. What do you think? What can we do?
Yes, in general, I believe that we urgently need to have more cooperation in the foreign and security policy and more cooperation with regard to the EU in general. However, from the regional perspective of a federal state, issues of cross-border health, transport, training, or economy are crucial. Here we need more activities from the national governments, from better regulatory frameworks to better railways and rail connections. The energy transformation in the Lusatia region is a huge challenge for Poland and for Brandenburg. It also provides a great opportunity for more exchange with Polish partners for creating new ideas. In general, the level of municipal and regional cooperation offers many opportunities for cooperation. These cooperation works regardless of new dividing lines within societies, regardless of certain trends up to simplification, insinuation, and dishonesties. In particular, it will be, I think, crucial to strengthen cooperation between Germany and Poland at the level of civil society, direct contact between people. We also support different formats for international youth participation, as already mentioned. Regardless to the legal and political framework, the most striking proof for a good cross-border relations on regional level is that we are not talking about borders, but about neighborhoods, mutual understanding, and also close cooperation. This close Polish-German cooperation on a daily basis can be the best promoter to resilience against fake news and new borders. So I think the direct contact between people, this is crucial.
I would like to ask the same question to Jan Philipp Albrecht.
I agree to really many things which have been said, and in particular the strengthening of civil society and the impulse of public education also for European common ideas and values and principles is something which I absolutely would underline. And I also think that the exchange of the political actors on both sides is very important, but not only on the national level, but also on the local level, for example, the same as also with journalists, for example, to build up a common viewpoint and a common sphere of debates. And I think that it is very right to say it has to be a similar approach to building up institutions like it was happening between Germany and France over the last century, decades. And still, I have to say that the current situation poses challenges with it, because the embassies at the moment will not be able to agree on very substantial projects in this current moment. It is complicated, but on the other side, we should do whatever is possible in order to build up a common sphere and the possibilities for exchange and learning, and to therefore prepare that there should be a far more deep integration process when there is a new government, hopefully following a more rule of law and democracy-based viewpoint in Poland, which at the moment makes it very complicated to build up the needed projects which we missed over the last years, as I said.
Last point in our discussion, Karolina, Dreszer-Smalec.
To emphasize this cooperation and the mutual trust build good relations. It can be created by common work, and what is good example, we as National Federation and Bundesnetzwerk Bundeschaftliche Engagement, we are working together in the European network, in the European Civic Forum, when we as Polish, German, and many others, federations, NGOs from Europe, we are together, we are thinking how to develop the system, how to counterfight the challenges. And this is the clue. We have to work together. We have to have the opportunity as now to exchange our position, to create the common future. And this is in our hands. And I believe that civil society will play the crucial role in the building future for Europe.
Thank you very much to all of you for the discussion. Thanks to participants, especially to more than 100 participants in our discussion.
This discussion was part of the conference Our European Values, Our Future, a German-Polish dialogue on the future of Europe, on 29th November 2022. It was moderated by Cornelius Ochmann, member of the management board of the Foundation for Polish-German Cooperation. The event was organized by the non-partisan Europa-Union Deutschland e.V., German chapter of the Union of European Federalists, and it was supported by the Press and Information Office of the German federal government. The event was part of the Citizen Dialogue project Europe, We Need to Talk, and took place in close cooperation with the Friedrich-Ebert-Stiftung, the Heinrich-Böll-Stiftung, the Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung, Bundesnetzwerk Bürgerschaftliches Engagement, the Foundation for Polish-German Cooperation, the National Federation of Polish NGOs, and the Collegium Polonicum. This podcast was produced by me, Vincent Venus. Thank you for listening.